Hello, I'm Joseph Johnson.
And I'm Natalie Daniels.
And welcome to SparkNewZ.
So tonight we're going to be talking about the big stories headlining the news. And one of those stories is regarding Paul Manafort. So Paul Manafort has been recently sentenced for his job in being financial frauds and that situation. But he was expected to get 25 years in prison, but actually the judge ruled for 47 months, which is almost 4 years of prison. And when they convicted him, they found evidence that there was no correlation between his job as campaign chairman and the financial fraud he committed.
Yeah, so a lot of people have been wondering why he is only getting around like 47 months in prison. And essentially, the judge thought that it was overkill for this 19 to 25 years. And he wanted to be fair. So he only sentenced him to 47 months in prison. But if you look back at the past sentencings that the judge has done, he said that he said that basically he only sentenced this woman to only 5 seconds of probation, even though she has been hiding around $47 million from America in a foreign bank. It's crazy.
Right.
So a part of the campaign, talking about the campaign, the Trump campaign, one of his main promises was the U.S.-Mexican border wall. So Trump is planning to ask Congress for around $8.6 billion more for the border wall. So, as we all know, that the previous request was around $5.7 billion, and this is what caused the government shutdown. So this is going to cover around the 700 miles along the U.S.-Mexican border, and this is going to be part of the 2020 fiscal budget, which is expected to be released around a couple days from now.
I heard also Trump wants to make the military stronger with the budget and adding more money to that while cutting domestic programs, which Democrats probably won't agree on, which will probably cause some pushback in that situation.
Yeah, so hopefully we won't find ourselves in a government shutdown.
Hopefully not. Well, talking about another controversy within Congress, this is regarding actually Ilhan Omar. So she was recently in Washington, D.C. at a bookstore, and she was talking about the state of Israel and just everything about that. And apparently she got backlash for comments that seemed anti-Semitic. And even though she believes herself her comments weren't anti-Semitic, this has happened before. In February, she actually tweeted out some things that people thought were anti-Semitic as well. So she has apologized to the Jewish community, but she still stands by what she says, that her comments weren't regarding the actual anti-Semitic being against Jews, but actually for the state of Israel.
Yeah. So surrounding this whole entire Ilhan controversy, a new House bill has recently been proposed and actually passed. There was around 407 yeses and around 23 noes. And this bill says that it's going to be condemning hateful expressions of intolerance. So we'll see in the direction that this takes and what Congress people can and cannot say.
Right, exactly.
So going on to international news, starting in 2021, U.S. citizens are going to have to be registering online to travel to many parts of the EU. So this new online service is basically going to be like a small fee of $8 that you're going to have to fill out before you go on your vacation or travel or any sort of traveling over to the EU. So the government actually says that this is not a visa. They're not saying, like, they are saying it's not a visa. And so the approval process should only take like a couple minutes to be approved or like disapproved. We originally did not need this, and you basically could just travel over to Europe whenever you wanted to, unless it was over 90 days and you had to get a visa then.
Is this a security measure?
A lot of people are saying it's for a security measure, so they know who's coming in and out of the European Union.
Okay, that's good to see. But moving on to talking about the tornadoes in Alabama. So President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump visited Alabama on March 8th to pay tribute and respect to the 23 victims whose lives were lost in the tornadoes in eastern Alabama. So when they both went, he did sign some Bibles and give out some paraphernalia like mugs and hats and t-shirts for fans of Trump. And also, Rusty Sewell, who was a pastor of the Providence Baptist Church in Opelika, said that him visiting was a great uplifting experience for them, and it was very helpful, especially in this tragedy.
And there was a lot of people also saying that it was really odd that Trump was signing the front covers of Bibles actually inside of a church. So there was some controversy out of people, wanting to feel better after these tornadoes.
Exactly,
too, so.
and signing Bibles, you're not sure whether,
Yeah.
but at least he did go and visit and pay tribute.
Exactly.
So when we come back, we'll have sports correspondent Jacqueline Galvin talk about a trade deal with Antonio Brown.
And guess what? J-Lo got the ring, and Elizabeth Perkin will be talking about that.
When I arrive at my destination,
I'm sorry, I didn't know that was going that long, the first story.
Wait a little.
I was like, oh, that felt like 40 seconds. I was like, what?
Sorry, can we get someone? Where in God's name is the gaffer's tape?
Hi, I'm Nate.
And I'm Casey, and we're the National Broadcasting Society.
Come out to some of our weekly workshops or work on some of our sets.
Explore the bigger picture with NBS.
We'll see you there.
All right, let's get another take. Camera, sound.
Hi, I'm Mary Malloy, the host of Speechless, and you're watching the Emerson Channel.
Welcome back. Now we have sports correspondent Jacqueline Galvin and entertainment correspondent Elizabeth Perkin to talk about what's going on in the news in those fields. Take it away, Jacqueline.
All right, so we're going to start off with some women's soccer. So the U.S. women's national team is actually suing U.S. soccer because they believe that they aren't being paid enough. They get paid less than the men's teams, and some major names such as Alex Morgan, Carly Lloyd, and Megan Rapinoe are plaintiffs in this case, and they've actually sued before or filed a similar complaint before. So it's coming on International Women's Day too, so that was a big step for this program.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it was pretty crazy to see that, like, such a large suit where every single player of the team stood up and said, like, look, we're not being paid fairly. And I even heard that other women, like past players of the U.S. women's soccer team, are also being included in this lawsuit as well. So that's just like such a large step for equality and pay.
Exactly, because in comparison, if each team, the men's team and the women's team, each played 20 friendlies and won all of the friendlies, the women's team would make 38% of what the men would make for winning those same 20 games. So that's a huge pay discrepancy.
Yeah, definitely.
And it will be interesting to see what happens from this case, because this could be a huge step for women's sports across the board, not just soccer.
Yes.
So moving on to football, Antonio Brown was rumored to go to the Buffalo Bills. And then the next morning, everyone woke up and he wasn't going to the Bills anymore. He pulled out of that trade. Yeah, surprise, he's no longer with the Bills. So the trade was not final, and then Brown backed out, and then the next day he went to the Raiders. So he's with the Oakland Raiders now. He's on a 3-year, about $54 million deal with $30 million of that guaranteed. And he had 3 years left with his contract with the Steelers, but he decided to opt out of that. And
Is there any reason why he stepped out of that?
so him and Ben Roethlisberger, who's the quarterback of the Steelers, they've been known to have some beef, I guess you could say, this season. Ben has thrown him under the bus a little bit. He's thrown a lot of his teammates under the bus, and Brown was just sick of it, so he requested a trade. And he doesn't have any bad blood with the organization anymore. He made amends with the owners. He had a meeting with them. So, yeah, he just decided he wanted to go to the Raiders.
Okay, interesting.
So now for some kind of lighthearted baseball news. Joe Kelly, who's a right-handed pitcher for the Dodgers, formerly the Red Sox, he won the World Series with them this year. He has a back injury from cooking Cajun food. He was standing too long, and he was cooking Cajun food for his team. He said for about 5 hours cooking, I think, crawfish.
That's crazy.
And yeah, he had to sit out a game because he was supposed to pitch and he couldn't because he had back soreness.
Right.
Oh my goodness, who knew cooking was such a dangerous thing?
I know, seriously. But he did he told reporters that there's a plan in place to straighten this out so that it never happens again. But
great.
that's just a funny
Yeah.
kind of
It is kind of funny to enter back
Definitely
cooking.
the weirdest preseason injury that I've heard of.
Yeah, definitely.
I wonder what the plan is.
Yeah,
We have a plan.
Right into his contract, I will not cook Cajun food.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I hope we don't get a back injury sitting in these chairs. That'd be terrible. But so what's going on in the entertainment world, Elizabeth?
Well, to start off, we have R. Kelly, and he was recently sentenced again for jail time, this time over unpaid child fees, child support. It was $161,000 that he owed in back child support, which he hadn't paid. So he went to court during the week last week, and the judge told him he couldn't get out until he paid this back child support. And some anonymous donor made the paid off the child support for him, and he was released from jail on Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy because it comes off of his interview with Gayle King.
Right.
So it's crazy to see that this is all happening after he's being accused of sexual harassment and sexual assault, and with all these women. So those cases are still ongoing, as well as the whole back child support.
Yeah, another part of the Gayle King interview that I thought was interesting was the interview that she did with his girlfriends. So the 23 and 21-year-old, I want to say. That one was very interesting because he was apparently standing in the back and you could hear him going like, just making his presence known in the room.
Yeah.
So that was another interesting part. So I guess we'll see what happens from there with both of those interviews, because I know there's already been a lot of backlash from them.
Definitely.
Exactly. But moving on to some sad and devastating news in Hollywood. Unfortunately, Luke Perry has died at the age of 52. He died last Monday after suffering a stroke the previous Wednesday. So pretty devastating to hear. He was a big star on 90210 and on Riverdale. So pretty sad.
I know that the cast of Riverdale, they previously halted production in order for the cast to be able to grieve, but I know they're starting up now. But it's just going to be discussions about how to implement him leaving through his death. And
Exactly.
And it's interesting because he was on 90210 and Riverdale. That kind of hits two generations. And he was so young, so it is kind of is a shock to more than just one generation of viewers, like teenagers, even like preteen, up through like adults.
Still adults. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I was shocked to see the notification when it showed up on my phone.
He's very young, 52.
But some lighter news. J-Lo finally got engaged to A-Rod. Yes. How exciting. So A-Rod took J-Lo away on like a nice beach getaway, and that's where he popped the question to her with a not so tiny 15-carat diamond ring, which is estimated to be worth $1.4 million.
Oh my
That's
God.
crazy.
Yeah, carrying that on your finger.
I know. I think it'd be like heavy.
I'd be like, okay.
I feel like if she loses it, like that would be
Yeah.
awful.
Yes.
Hopefully
Oh
not.
my
Did
goodness.
you say it was in the ocean when he proposed?
No, not in the ocean. Just
Okay.
they were on the beach.
On the beach?
They were on
Because
the
I was
beach.
about to say, like, drops the
Drops
ring.
it.
That would not be
terrible.
good. No. But this has come, it's been a long time waiting. They've been dating for 2 years now. So I know like Ellen DeGeneres and a ton of other celebrities have been like rooting for them and asking when they were going to get engaged and married. So it's great to see that they're in love and that they're taking the next step in their relationship. Yes.
So cute.
Yeah.
Well, I was under a lot of pressure to come up with a pun for the end of this show, but I don't care it. You get it? Diamonds. So, thank you for watching this week of SparkNewZ.
And have a wonderful night.